Good afternoon. It is just now noon here in Humble, Texas at Abundant Health and Wellness, and we are located at Avenue C and Main Street. So if you're ever in our area, just come by and give us a shout out. We'd like to see you. It has been a busy day, and so I always love that. We've changed our hours in case you are new to us, or maybe you just haven't looked at our updated schedule. We changed our hours, and we are now open at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. So normally we open at 10 all the rest of the days, but we had people that wanted to come and see us early, so we decided I think it was in May, that we were going to open at 8. And so we have just been running crazy all day. So it's just a good thing. And today I want to talk to you about 5G and what 5G is doing to your immune system. Now, you know that we're all concerned about our immune systems because we're all in the COVID crazy, right? And so I just want to give you some updates. These are some updates in some new literature that we have here. And so I kind of want to go over with that. It's called, the article I'm looking at is called Electromagnetism and Human Health, Wi-Fi and Cell Phones. Now, obviously, I am transmitting through my phone on this Facebook Live, and so I do have my phone with me most of the time. It is not on my person. I don't wear it, and I don't have it, right by me. I have it on my desk when I use the phone. Most of the time, I would say probably 95% of the time, I have it on speakerphone, so it's not up to my ear. And why is that? Because I do not want those cellular vibrations going into my brain. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. If you've been watching our page, if you've been watching what we've been doing, there is a new DNA hair analysis that will talk to you about the state of your health as regards to your immune system and your gut. And we know that 85% of your immune system is in your gut, right? And so one of the things that this DNA analysis will do is it will tell you what your environmental challenges are. And I was really, really surprised when I got mine that it said that electromagnetic frequencies was a real problem for me. Now, why is that? Why was I surprised at that? I was surprised because I do a lot to counteract that. But where I live, there are generators, there are power lines, there are all kinds of emitting devices that apparently I'm not having enough protection in my immune system. So I'm really, really careful with that. No, I don't turn off my Wi-Fi at night. I guess maybe I should. I'm not seeing any kind of effects that I can put my fingers on, but this DNA analysis said that was a challenge for me, so I may have to rethink that. So remember, we've got that for you here. You don't have to have an appointment with me, but you do need to call and let us know you're coming. So Tracy's not at lunch or she's not otherwise engaged, and she can be able to help you. We pull 4 little hairs out of the back of your head, either the crown of your head or the nape of your neck. And we scan those, we electronically scan those to a medical facility in Germany, and they will scan to you about a 38-page document that tells you what vitamins you're missing, what nutrients you're missing. If electromagnetic radiation is something that you need to be concerned about, then you're going to have that information, and it also gives you what nutritions, what superfoods can you eat, what vitamins do you need, what foods do you need to eat in order to combat that. So that's really important. We have that for you, so please take advantage of that. I also told you on our Tuesday testimonial this week that we now on our Abundant Health and Wellness webpage, okay, and it's my name, Heil-Mealey.com. If you will go and look at the top banner at the links, we now have a link that you can order your own blood work. So if that's something that appeals to you, that's something that you can't get your doctor to cooperate with you, especially on the vitamin D test, then we've got that available for you. And I think the test is about $40, so it's not expensive at all. But it is an absolute gold mine of information to know where your immune system is. So I hope you'll all take advantage of that. We're trying to bring you solutions so that you can have really good health outcomes. Okay, that's what we want you to do. Okay, so today we are talking about the health risks that are being ignored by the telecom industry and maybe even our government, okay? So this article is written by a medical doctor, and he practices at the Southwest Functional Medicine Clinic in Henderson, Nevada, okay? He is board certified in internal medicine, and so this is somebody that we can really trust. And so I want to just tell you about this report, and it's talking about the worldwide effects of the Wi-Fi, the 4G, and now the 5G. And if you're paying any attention to anything at all, you will know that 5G is all over the place on the internet, and they're telling you all kinds of things. We know that there are some doctors who believe that the current COVID crisis is somehow related to the implementation of 5G radiation, because in Wuhan, as I told you this a couple of weeks ago, we did a whole program on this, that Wuhan is the first city to roll out the 5G, and COVID came just directly after that. Italy, where they have had quite a few fatalities with the COVID, they are a city that has rolled out 5G too. Now, that's not to discount their population is elderly. Their population is one that has a lot of smokers in there, okay? And we know that this COVID-19 really affects your respiratory areas. And so if you are a smoker, if you have COPD and that kind of thing, then you're going to be more adversely affected. But I think it all goes together. I really think that there is a component of your immune system not functioning. There's a component of the comorbidities, the COPD, the heart disease, the obesity, and all that kind of stuff. And then I think there is also the environmental stress of the 4G, the 5G, and that kind of thing. So we just have to be very, very careful. So, this article says that the radiation, right, from the Wi-Fi and the cell phones have an effect on our physiology, that means our body, also including cognitive changes, so that's your brain function, your fatigue, decreased fertility, DNA damage, and certain types of cancer. Now, when I was younger, and of course I always make a joke of this, according to the COVID-19 numbers, I am now considered elderly, and I really don't feel like I'm elderly, but I fit in that age bracket. When I was younger, nobody had any trouble getting pregnant. I mean, just, it was the odd person that was having fertility issues. And now we have a significant number of people that come in that are in their 20s and early 30s that are dealing with fertility issues. And I think that this points to the fact that these EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, are really playing havoc with our DNA and with our fertility. So that's something that I want you to kind of pay attention to, okay? It says, keep in mind that wireless radiation is a non-ionizing form of radiation, which means it does not disrupt atoms and molecules like the radiation from uranium or plutonium. However, okay, the particles and waves of energy still enter the living systems and can be disruptive on a large scale. In the United States, the limit of radiation is 10 watts per meter squared for 30 minutes of exposure. Now we know, and I've sent you to a YouTube video, some of you couldn't find it, and I've posted it on my own YouTube channel. There is an old video, it is old, it's probably in the 1980s, and it's a black and white video, but it shows live blood cell analysis, okay? This is where you sit in my office, we do this in here, you sit in my office, I'll take a little thing and I'll prick your finger, I'll put it on a slide, I'll put it in the microscope, and we will actually see what your blood is doing. Now, if your blood is doing what it's supposed to be doing, it's going to be free flowing. All the cells are going to be by themselves. They're not going to be connected to anything else. Okay, you've got good digestion and all that kind of stuff. They show somebody who has, they do their live blood cell analysis, and the blood looks just like that. Then they put them on a computer or they put them on a cell phone. It's been a while since I watched it, so I can't really remember, for 30 minutes. Then they do the same person, they do live blood cell analysis again. And what they find is all of the blood cells, instead of free moving, free flowing individual cells, are all clumped up like rows of pennies. So you know when you take your pennies and you put them in the change jar and you wrap them and you take them to the bank, that's what the blood looks like. And so when the blood looks like that, it's not being oxygenated, and there are some problems with that. And so this is there are all kinds of YouTubes on electromagnetic smog. Now, some of them are 2 and 3 hours, so unless you're just like a nerd and you want to look at that, and I'm not being, disrespectful there, I don't have that kind of time that I want to look for that, and so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time there. But the video that I'm pushing you to is one that is about 2 or 3 minutes long. It's not long at all, and it shows very, very distinctly what's happening with your blood cells when you are on this radiation. So it's not that it has zero effect. And a lot of people think that your cell phone is just innocuous. It doesn't hamper your health at all, but it really, really does. We know that men that carry their phone in their left pocket, their left back pocket, we know that their left testicle is a lot smaller than their right one. Ladies, you too, if you wear your phone. Now, I know these days people don't wear their phone too much. Ladies don't wear them on their belt. In fact, I don't think the holsters anymore, they have that. But back in the day when they did, and the ladies would wear them on their skirt or wear them on their belt, we would find that their ovary on that side of the body was a lot more, it was small. It was more chunk than the one on the other side. So we do know that the radiation that is emitted does cause changes in the physical body. So we need to understand that, okay? So it says there is a whole range of non-thermal effects. Now we know if you put your phone to your ear when you're talking, you will know, and I have done this, I've been in a public place and I didn't want everything on speakerphone, and I put it to my head. My face will get hot and my hand will get hot from the thermal effects of the battery and the phone and that kind of thing. I don't like it. It makes me not feel well, and so I have it out here and I have it on speakerphone when I'm able to. But the report says that there are non-thermal effects that have been observed on living creatures, okay, that the so-called safety limit doesn't take into account. All right, proponents for more stringent wireless radiation standards have tried to bring attention to studies linking cell phone use to brain tumors, to miscarriages, and a whole host of other health problems. The problem with the correlational studies is that they don't prove causation. Now, I read a study about police officers, okay? Now, I love police officers, so I'm not bashing them, but the ones that have the radar gun, they put it in the car on their shoulder, right? I've seen reports that show that whatever shoulder that they put that radar gun on, that it is likely that they could develop tumors in their brain because of the radar waves that are in that. So that's really, really important. I've seen that research. All right. It says that because there are inconsistencies in the literature in the 1920s and the 2000s, the public became very confused and decided not to pay attention. Okay. Now, in 2016, now that was 4 years ago, international groups of researchers from the Ukraine, Finland, and the United States, and Brazil, right? So this is quite a few different kinds of people, international studies. They studied the effects of low-intensity radiofrequency radiation on living tissue. They took 100 peer-reviewed studies dealing with this subject, and they found that 93 papers confirmed, okay? So 100 peer-reviewed studied, 93 of those confirmed that there is oxidative effect of radiofrequency radiation. Oxidative stress is when free radicals, okay, oxidants, and antioxidants become imbalanced, and it is one of the primary drivers of aging. Now, as I said before, I'm in that category now of the elderly. And what do we look at in the elderly? We look at cognitive decline. I don't want to have cognitive decline. So anything that has to do with aging, particularly because I'm in my age group that I'm in, I'm really interested in that. I mean, I do human growth hormone because of its anti-aging effect. And I want my brain to be young. I want my brain to be functioning. I want my cognitive functions to all be there, because if I can't connect the dots when you come in and see me, then you're not going to get well. So it's really important for me that all of the dots are connected. And so I'm really into this anti-aging stuff, okay? So the researchers found that 93 papers found correlation, and there were almost as many different biological and biochemical pathways that were investigated. So we're talking about upwards to 100 different things that they looked at. Wireless radiation seems to have this aging effect on all of the biological pathways. The researchers came to a firm conclusion that wireless radiation was a physical agent that induced oxidative stress in the cell and had broad biological potential to affect a diversity of biochemical processes. All right, so one of the things that they found was on the reproductive system. All right, there is cellular aging, particularly in the testicles and the ovaries. All right, so we don't want to have that. It says it's even more prone to damage. Okay, these organs, these glands, the testicles and the ovaries are more prone to damage from the EMF radiation than anything else. So this is kind of something that concerns me when we've got all of our young people carrying around their cell phones, putting their cell phones in the pockets. And so, you know, as an elderly person, I don't really care what's going on with my ovaries right now. I'm past my reproductive stage and all that kind of stuff, but my kids aren't. My grandchildren aren't. And so this is something that we all really need to be aware of, because we want to make sure that we keep all of our family members very healthy, okay? They looked at the effects of wireless radiation on the mechanics of our cellular building blocks. What are our cellular building blocks? Well, that's our DNA, right? Okay, the evidence was solid enough to at least open the topic for further studies. In 2011, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified radiofrequency electromagnetic fields as a group 2B carcinogenic. And my phone is saying that I don't have a good signal, so I don't know what that's about, because I checked that before we started. So if I kind of fade out, just bear with me here, okay? So it says, what about the new 5G networks that are currently being rolled out? The 5G networks being deployed operate on 3 different spectrum bands: low, mid, and high. The low band is transmitted at frequencies below 1 gigahertz and is not much different than 4G, also known as LTE. This provides broad coverage in areas, okay? The 5G rollout is the first step toward designing wireless radiation more conducive to human health, he says. He's hopeful but skeptical. This is what the doctor says, all right? After observing a telecom and tech industry that stubbornly denied any adverse effects for decades, despite a strong body of evidence stating otherwise, I can't help but make comparisons to the perils of smoking and the brash denials from the big tobacco companies in the 1940s and 1950s. So that's really important. And so we're looking at 5G here, and we know that 5G can be used for crowd control. Why can it be used for crowd control? They can focus that beam in a very narrow cone, and when it hits the human body, it burns. And so it will definitely stop a riot. It will definitely stop things that we don't want to have happen. And so we need to know that it is the same frequency that is being rolled out, obviously not concentrated, okay, so don't kind of go crazy, it's not concentrated, but what it does do is it affects the skin and it affects the pores on your skin and all those little hairs, okay, that are on your skin. It turns them into little antennas that absorb more of those radio frequencies. So that's something that is really, really concerning. It says that some researchers believe that the wavelengths at which 5G operates will cause serious skin issues and eye disease, okay? So the 5G operates at a wavelength known as millimeter waves, all right? These waves cannot go through buildings or other obstructions, which is why there needs to be the cell towers and the little cells all over the place. And so when 5G gets rolled out all over the world, which is what they're trying to do, you're going to have a cell tower or a 5G cell almost on every street corner. And so it's going to, even though those waves can't go far, there's going to be enough of them that you're not going to be able to escape from it, all right? So it says the biggest concern is how these new wavelengths will affect the skin. Dr. Ben Aishi, I think that's how you say that, who is he's from the Hebrew University in Israel, explains that our sweat ducts act as an array of helical antennas when exposed to these wavelengths, meaning that they become more conducive. A recent New York study which experimented with 60 gigahertz waves, which is what the 5G is, states that the analysis of the penetration depths show that more than 90% of the transmitted power is absorbed in the epidermis and dermis layer. Okay, so this is important. So this is not just passing through you. You are absolutely absorbing these rays. And so we need to be really, really careful of what that might mean. It says millimeter waves are also linked to heart disease, compromise of the immune system, and change in the health of our plants. One study indicated that high levels of these radio frequency radiation can prevent plants from growing and having the nutrients that we need to survive. So this is on a multifaceted ecological level, okay? So we need to be really, really careful. And what is this doing to our immune system? So Hippocrates said, let your food be your medicine and let your medicine be your food. If our food is not nutrient dense, right, then it's not going to have what we need in order to stay healthy. Now, I personally believe that even if you buy organic, and I always say we want to buy organic, non-GMO. If you buy a box or a package, and sometimes we have to do that, you want to make sure that it has the non-GMO label on it, which means it does not have any genetically modified organisms in there. Since the 1960s, our food is 40% less nutrient dense, okay? And why is that? Well, if you remember, if you're in my age group, whenever you were in, I think it was the 4th grade in geography class, they talked to us about strip mining, rotating the crops, letting the crops lie fallow, or letting the land lie fallow and all that kind of stuff, and using organic fertilizer. Now they use chemical fertilizer. In fact, I just got my report from the city of Humble for their water treatment plants, and you know what? We have fertilizer in our water supply, so I'm just not a happy camper about that. And fortunately, we filter our water, and there's arsenic and there's cadmium. There's all kinds of things in the water that I'm not real happy about. But this is what you have. Because you are using these synthetic fertilizers in our industrial farming, our food is not nutritionally as dense as it used to be. So I think all of us need to have a multivitamin, multimineral every day, because we're not getting everything that we need from our food. If we're not getting the nutrients from our food, then our bodies are not going to have what they need to have in order to repair and regenerate tissues. What is aging? Aging is where we no longer have the frequency in our body to repair and regenerate tissue. Where do we get these frequencies? We get these frequencies from the life-giving foods that we eat. So it's all connected. And so as we are putting more and more radiation in the atmosphere, as we're having more and more pollutions in the atmosphere, we are shrinking the bandwidth that we have in order to become more nutritionally healthy. So I know I kind of got off on a tangent on that. The millimeter waves, right, they have the ability to penetrate the cornea of the eye and cause all sorts of issues. So it also has the ability to change our cell structure. This type of radiation also can break the blood-brain barrier, which is the body's last defense against toxic chemicals. Now, hopefully you are aware that our precious brains, there is a blood-brain barrier, which means there is a membrane that all the toxic material cannot pass through to get into the brain. This radiation, this millimeter wave radiation, penetrates the blood-brain barrier, which makes the barrier more porous. That sounds like a tongue twister, and I'm having a little trouble with that. So we want to make sure, okay, that when we use our devices, and nobody's saying get rid of your devices. I am not going to get rid of my devices, all right? I have had a cell phone since, well, I've had a smartphone since how long? 2007? Yeah, 2007 maybe. And I love it, and I could not run my life without it. It has my calendar, it has my email, it has my phone book, it has all of my appointments. I mean, I could not live without it. But I treat it appropriately. I don't wear it on my person. I make sure that I wear on my person a electromagnetic shield to protect me. I have a big shield in my home to protect us from electromagnetic frequencies. If you have superfoods, superfruits, if you take those in daily, then you're protecting yourself from that electromagnetic radiation. And so there are a lot of things that we can do to live in this world that is polluted. And so hopefully, while we're still dealing with the COVID crazy, this is another piece of what we can do to enhance our immune system, so our immune system can fight the pathogens, whether it's a virus, whether it's a bacteria, whatever it is. Our bodies should have the capability to fight these things so that we can stay healthy. We have had people that come into the clinic that have been so sensitive to electromagnetic radiation that their skin burned all the time. They had rashes, they had breakouts. There were all kinds of physical things that they have. It's not normal. It's not something that we see every day, but we are seeing an increase in that. And so with exposure, with increased exposure is increased sensitivity. So just protect yourself. Practice good cellular health. Practice good EMF health. Okay, watch that video. It's like I say, it's just a short one, but it tells you what your blood is doing, and we do not want your blood looking like copper pennies, okay? It is the weekend. Thank you for joining me. I honor the time that you spend with me, and I'm so appreciative that you do comment, that you do reactions, that you share the post, because the algorithms with Facebook, if we don't get any participation, then Facebook says that nobody cares about what I'm saying. And so we really want to get the word out. So thank you for doing your part to help us get the word out, because we're all about bringing health to our community. So take care of yourself. Go outside this weekend, get some good vitamin D, relax, try and breathe some fresh air, and get out of your Wi-Fi space. Talk to you next week. Take care. Love you. Bye.